G'day and welcome back to the shed. Today I thought I would do something a little bit different and just switch on the cameras and just share some thoughts on some recent novels that I've read without any notes taken. Just let's be a bit spontaneous. And the reason that is because I'm reading this rather chunky novel at the moment. It's over 1,000 pages that I want to rank on a Hugo and Nebula award-winning shed ladder where I've been ranking all the novels. But it's a chunky old novel. It's over 1,000 pages and the font is ridiculously small. So what I wanted to do just to get me excited about getting stuck into this fat novel is just knock over a couple of really short stories. And the first one, some of you may recall, came up in a book haul video that I did, it must be even a year ago. I'll link it down into the description. But this one sort of jumped out at me because of the title, which says Claret, Sandwiches and Sin by Madeleine Duke. And I hadn't heard anything about Madeleine Duke. I definitely hadn't read her before. But the title sort of, I thought, was interesting and appealing to me. So it sort of had me wanting to read it. So being a 140-page novel, I thought, yeah, this is perfect. I can read this over a weekend and let's just see what it comes down to. And this one was sort of interesting, right? Because what happens in this near future, the novel was a 1964 release, and it's written in the near future, being the year 1979. And what we have is this big monorail system that's connected all these superpowers now of the world, and the world is not quite like we have it today. So, there's a UN Africa, which seems to be the biggest sort of power in the world, which is a United Africa. There's a Eurasia or Russian, something like that. But needless to say that the world political structure and power structure is different to what we have today because of this monorail system. And the story is really dealing with anarchy, right? There's what seems to be happening is that there's a whole lot of murder of these political leaders. They're getting assassinated, and there's rumors of some kind of group or someone behind it. And the novel is really about anarchy and that opposition of structured government. So it's rather an interesting read. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. What I did enjoy was that anarchy sort of view to the world. It sort of reminded me of books like Ursula Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness. The writing is definitely nowhere near as Ursula Le Guin's is, but sort of same kind of themes were sort of hit out with that view of anarchy and what different government structures would look like. I didn't know what to expect, honestly, but I found it to be an interesting read. But where it sort of fell short for me, at times I thought the writing was a bit weird. Like, it sort of didn't really flow nicely. It sort of had me reading passages a couple of times, at times, just to understand what the author actually meant. And it wasn't because of anything other than the way the novel flowed. So it had a couple of hiccups with me, but overall I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, and I think it was worthwhile reading just for the title alone. The other one, on the other hand, is just 120-something pages, 128 pages, and that is Lester Del Rey's Day of the Giants. Now, this one I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought this one probably deserves its own video. Maybe that's a hint to the thumbnail as well, right? Because this one I found rather enjoyable, and I think this is a classic, honestly a forgotten classic. And it's sometimes, really brought home that a novel does not need to be 1,000-odd pages for you to have a good, enjoyable read and a good old-fashioned yarn, right? So I really enjoyed this one by Lester Del Rey. And basically, in a nutshell, what this is pretty much put down in the blurb, is that what we have is these Norse gods are real, right? And they've come to Earth to look for a new hero to help them with Ragnarok, or whatever it's pronounced, right? Basically, the last battle of the Norse gods with these giants. And it sort of takes these 2 humans, from the planet, and takes them up into this Norse kingdom, and has them sort of work with these Norse gods in defeating these giants. But there's a bit of a twist to that as well, because if these Norse gods die to the giants, then life on Earth as we know it will be over anyway. But if these Norse gods win, then Earth becomes basically a footstool to these gods anyway. So it almost looks like a no-win situation for the Earthlings involved in this conflict. But I really like this. I really like the idea of these Norse gods brought into the picture and having humans fight on their behalf and having humans, you know, ultimately be the wiser race out of the two. Look, I found this one to be a really enjoyable read. I knew nothing of this one. I know of Lester Del Rey. I mean, he's one of the science fiction and fantasy writers, super grandmasters, right? So he's a well-known author. I've read a fair bit of Lester Del Rey, but I hadn't read Day of the Giants before. And I've got to say, this is a forgotten classic, and I highly recommend you read it. Now, it has dated a little, I've got to say. I mean, the way the villain deals with one of these women goddesses was, I thought, a bit, I don't know, man. It was an assault, I would say, in today's day and age. If you were to take on similar tactics, it's definitely aged, but I still think it has enough in it that I would rank amongst the likes of what was his name? The likes of Paul Anderson, I was thinking of, right? So it's sort of very reminiscent of this. So I think if you like, you know, Paul Anderson's Three Hearts and Three Lions or The Broken Sword by Paul Anderson, I sort of found similarities here as well, right? Different setting. We have Norse, you know, mythology here, but similar kind of concept, right? This farmer who's taken up into this Norse heaven type place, and there's a bit of a science explanation to some of these Norse gods and what they did and how they can come between different realms and stuff, which I thought was really interesting. But again, the highlight, right? 126 odd page novel that just packs a punch, and I honestly think this is a forgotten classic. So look, I hope you enjoyed that. I just wanted to get a couple of quick books. I was in two minds as to whether or not I would shoot a review video on these. And I've done that multiple times over the last couple of years where I've read a couple of short stories, but I haven't bothered doing a full review because there's not really much to talk to in a rather small novels at time. But if you would like to see more of that, if you would like me not to skip these short stories and just provide a quick brief overview, please, you know, hit a like and subscribe and comment down below so I get a bit of a feel as to whether or not I should continue with some of these. Maybe what we call them is a, you know, double day Tuesday or something like that. Hey, thanks again for your time, and I'll see you next time in the shed.